the lights are coming along pretty good. All the work, I went in behind there and built all the supports and stuff, and I'll try to show you that later, to support behind the lights and support all this fender. So all this has an outrigger, kind of, I guess you'd call it, support system that holds this corner up, and it's back in behind where these lights are. And then I have your blower cooler and stuff like that, so I want to get as much air in there as possible, and then and make a triangulated support, and that worked out real well. But I've got the lights in here. I want to show you how this is looking. So I've got this level straight edge in there, and then I'm just adjusting them. I had them pretty close, but it is so close for that door to open. There's so much volume in these lights that it wants to barely touch it. So I've got to get them down as low as possible without getting them, I'm just splitting hairs. I just have no room. So I've taken the brackets loose, and I've actually drilled the welds out, and then I'll clamp the top ones back in and get it where it just barely clears that door, and then get them good and level in here, as level as possible. This one has a tendency to be up just a little bit on both of them, just the way that all this is made. And I'm trying to drop it down and drop this down and then get all that locked in. But it's really coming along good, really strong, horns installed and all that. So far so good. A lot of stuff apart, and a lot of stuff I want to show you. Here's our front grille, and I've had it in and out several times. I just wanted to show you kind of what all I've made and done for you here. And got the framing around that and support system and motors there. Then inside here's the lights. I've leveled the lights across each other, and then marked the backs and fabricated those boxes in there, those buckets, and the support system. And I've made this piece removable, put welded nuts and everything, so you can take that off and service everything in behind there, which is going to be very, very helpful. Then I'm working on now getting the lights working. Over here with the lights, I've come up with some brackets that I've made that will hold this panel right here. And I'm gonna take this panel and insert it right here, and then work on possibly later building something around it. But for now, that'll get us working. A lot's been done to the car since in my last video. Let's do a quick update on where we're at. Since my last video, you've taken this home for about a week and driven it around, drove it to the dealer, got it scanned, and everything is working wonderfully. And that was a good test of check to make sure the wheels didn't rub and all that. So I was able to actually move the fenders quite a bit and raise the front end a little bit. I've lowered the motor for the blower and stuff, and I'll show you all that in a minute. But a lot's went on after we've driven it. But it did fine. Air conditioner's working. It's got a little bit of a leak. I think we can fix that pretty easy. But every single thing is working just unbelievably well. Runs like a sewing machine, doesn't overheat, brakes perfect, extremely fast. The blower sound is phenomenal when you hear the blower, especially the way we've got its cold air, and it's not housed in any way right now, so you really hear that blower. But I want to show you what the lights are looking like. So the lights, I had to, kind of hand make all these lights, and then put them in the car and mocked it all up, made sure they all worked, and drove it. Now I'm going to have to go through and finish them up and paint them and make some little dust covers for it. Not sure how this stuff will react out in the elements because it was inside that sealed bulb, but I'm going to try my best to weatherproof it and make it where it will work. We'll just have to see. But I want to give you a closer look at the lights, and then I'll go on the car, and then I'll show you what these lights look like all together. The right side light all apart, and I'm trying to weatherproof this as best as possible, and I'll put dielectric grease in all the plugs so to keep the moisture down so nothing oxidizes. These are all my mechanical components pretty much, and then I had to make a way to hook these up so this actually snaps back onto this plate, and I took the adjuster, and that way that mounts. This I've had to make shims and spacers and stuff to get it to mount, because it's all got to fit in that little spot where the 69 Charger stuff's at. This is the 69 Charger frame, and I've cut it all up quite a bit. I'm fixing to clean and paint it. I'm going to use that shield, and I made these little dust covers to that will house all that and somewhat weatherproof it. It's not going to be like it was in that box, but hopefully I can make it where it'll last. And regardless, every piece of here you can buy at the dealer. You'd have to buy a whole light, but you can get every one of these pieces, and this light is very serviceable and repairable. And then I got this one still mocked in here. I've been making the shield that back here, and still got a little whittling to do on that one, not much, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this another painted and put back together. And I lowered the motor just a little bit. I fabricated in these inner fender rails and supported that fender, and then did the same over here and kind of formed it around and formed some metal in here. Try to make it look at home. Formed in some end plates here, but I've lowered this motor and we'll raise the body to bring my fenders in a little bit tighter. It looks a lot better like that, but now that I've driven it and knows it clears, I can bring that back in. And then in doing so, I lowered the motor a little bit and got it right back at that roll. That's where I really want this hood to hit in line with that. And then I'll go in there and work all that metal back around it. But that's a pretty good spot for that blower height, and gives me good clearance for all the stuff I need around that blower. I'm going to give you an update. I've got the car quite together, and I've got it outside so we can go all the way around it with the camera and show you how it's looking. Quick update on where I'm at. I've got the blower. Got the solid mounts in, and then I had the solid mounts cut in the machine shop a little bit to lower the motor just a little bit to where I can get it right in this bend of that blower, the turn on that blower. I thought it would look the best right there, and it just worked out perfect like that. And I raised the front just a little bit. I got all the headlights rebuilt and installed, and I've driven it around. I put clay. I had some spots that were real close on the engine, and the reason for those solid mounts was it was moving around too much. So all those spots, I put some clay in there, and then I just drove it around the block and got on a few times, and they were fine. It's not touching at all anymore. That let me check your front fenders for your tires, so I drove it kind of off the edge back and forth and stuff. The tires didn't rub any way possible. I got on it pretty hard. I did a couple of brake stands to make sure the motor didn't move. It's extremely fast. On the takeoff, it'll blister the tires, but if you're 30 or 40 mile an hour and then get on it, you can hear it. The blower is so impressive, but it accelerates so fast. I love it. But let me give you a little walk around of how it looks right now. The first time outside with a camera, because I can't get far enough away from it inside for this camera. The headlights are completely in, which they'll come back out, but I've got them somewhat wired up underneath there. But all this is coming back down. I've lowered that motor and kind of raised this front end to right. It's going to be right on that roll, so it's going to be perfect reveal on the blower. And then we'll get that painted the color of the wheels. Got most of your interior in there. Been trying to keep those blankets over everything so that I don't get it all dirty. Yeah, and this morning that was the 500 horsepower key. I didn't even have the red key in it. It was just on the 500 horse mode. See how wide I widened those quarters. Yeah, it's a pretty cool car. It's fast. It's got all the luxuries of a new car. It's got 26,000 miles on it. Pretty cool. Dodge Hellcat inside there.